Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live morning news up here to Desawe Kanda, also live on 3FM 927 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond as well. Coming up this evening, former Electoral Commissioner Dr. Kojo Afari-Jan cautions against hasty introduction of technology in Ghana's electoral process. Stay with me. We'll get into the details of these, plus the reactions as well, as we have the Director of Electoral Service of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Alfred Ocansey, insisting that the Electoral Commission would favor the use of the Ghana card as the sole document for the continuous registration exercise ahead of election 2024. This is despite Parliament's rejection of that CI, constitutional instrument, that the Electoral Commission laid before the House to make this possible. We're getting to all the reactions this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana expresses concerns over a request by the Office of Special Prosecutor for access to the Integrated Customs Management System platform, that's the ICUMS. And later in the bulletin, Asanteo 248 attempts to broker peace in the protracted Boko conflict as he invites the feuding parties for mediation. We have the latest in business and sports and entertainment coming up over the next 60 minutes. This is Hot Edition. I am Alfred Ocansey. Welcome. Let's get into the details now. And despite the use of technology in enhancing election management under the Fourth Republic, a former chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Jan, has urged caution in its use. Ghana's election management continues to be a growing process, from the introduction of photo albums to biometric capture of voters. The journey to make the process better continues unabated. Speaking at a roundtable on integrating technology in election management, he accused the Electoral Commission of laziness for resorting to regional election coalition, as we saw in the 2020 elections. We'll hear from Kojo Afari-Jan shortly, but for the current Electoral Commission, the gains chalked for from successive deployments would be enhanced with the use of the Ghana card as a sole document for registration for the next general elections. This is a Director of Electoral Service of the EC, Dr. Alfred Ocansey.
The challenge now is we are satisfied that we have addressed the impersonation to a large extent. We have addressed the multiple registration, multiple voting to a large extent. But how do we address the registration of minors and the registration of foreigners? I believe the politicians will now help us. Because most of it are not, they are those who will infringe that proportion. And they will end up accusing the Electoral Commission of having registers and minors. So, Mr. Chukwuno, Mr. Batman. But Electoral Commission thinks that one way of addressing it is to use the Ghana card. And there have been a lot of arguments. They are still battling it out. And we are still insistent that let us use the Ghana card so that we address the issue of minors. Because their date of birth is on the card, and the citizenship is also on the card. So that also in a way reduce drastically the registration of. We are still insistent that let us use the Ghana card so that we address the issue of minors. Because their date of birth is on the card, and the citizenship is also on the card. So that also in a way reduce drastically the registration of minors and foreigners. So in brief, this is what I want to say from the Electoral Commission point of view.
No, so that's Dr. Alfred Ocansey also speaking at that roundtable organized by the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Legon. So that's the development now. The Electoral Commission is still insistent that for them, they would favor the use of the Ghana card as a sole document for the continuous registration. And let me just put on record that in April this year, as we saw in Parliament rejected the Electoral Commission's use of the Ghana card as a sole source of identification for one to be registered in the new voters register. The House unanimously recommended to the Commission to include the guarantor system in the Public Elections Registration of Voters Regulation 2023 before it could present it for consideration. And that's members of Parliament were of the view that unless and until the challenges confronting the issuance of the Ghana card were dealt with, using the Ghana card as the sole and only medium of voter registration would negatively impact the electoral roll and thereby deny some otherwise qualified persons from registering to vote. Now, so this is what happened in April, and the report, which was signed by the chairman of the Committee of the Whole, Aban Sumana Kinsel and the Speaker himself, said it was not the time for the Electoral Commission to introduce and implement the Ghana card as a sole means of identification of citizenship for the purposes of voter registration. In fact, we have a copy of the report right now, which was presented to the House by the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Jose Usu, who moved the motion for the House to adopt the committee's report. The report also captured the concerns of MPs. In fact, from both sides of the House, MPP and NDC, they raised those concerns during previous meetings by the Special Budget Committee and the Committee of the Whole with the chairperson of the EC, Jen Mensah herself, the Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Professor Kenneth Tefa, and the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta. It was premised on the fact that the Electoral Commission could only lay the new CI in Parliament for admission and consideration if it get favorable consideration to the concerns raised by the members of Parliament. And so hearing Dr. Sribo Kweko right now talk about the fact that the Electoral Commission, well, they still insist in their view that the only way to check minors and foreigners on the electoral roll in this country is to continuously use the Ghana card as the sole document for the registration of voters going into election 2024. So that's the position right now, which we're going to be exploring shortly, some 11 minutes after 5 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Mustafa Agbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition NDC. He's joining us on the telephone. Mustafa, thank you so much for your time on Hot Edition. This is the EC Director of Electoral Services still saying that for them, they will still favor the use of the Ghana card as a sole document for the continuous registration, because in their view, that's the only way they can check the minors and the foreigners on our electoral roll. And this is despite Parliament's rejection of the CI in April. What's the NDC's reaction to this EC's position?
Well, thank you very much, Ocansey. I think that basically our position on this matter have always been that we are not in disagreement with the EC about adopting new measures and new policies. However, the Electoral Commission does not have the right and the power to act in ways and manner that disenfranchise legitimately qualified voters as the Constitution so prescribes. And that's been what citizens, stakeholders, CSOs have all held. The Electoral Commission is not an island. It is going to obviously supervise an election that involves multi-party, multi-political parties, and that they cannot and would not work in isolation. I believe that Dr. Kweku's conduct is more chaotic and likely to bring the ultimate of confusion, and that he should be guided in his commentary on this matter, because a political party disagrees with this lame position that despite the fact that you are determined to check issues of minors, what about people who qualify, and that your plan will disenfranchise them from voting? We must check all of this. And we are saying that, Ghana card, it is not every Ghanaian that, has it. And it is not their fault for not having Ghana card. It is a responsibility of government to ensure that every citizen above the age of 18 gets a Ghana card. Yet they don't have. And so if you come and make a law and say that if you don't have a Ghana card, you are not qualified to register, it's a lame position. It's a position that is more chaotic, and the Electoral Commission should not test the pulse and the resolve, patience, discipline of Ghanaians. If they are behind the government machinery to try and test the pulse of Ghanaians, I think when we get there, we will cross.
So he also makes the point earlier today that it is the political parties. You're the ones who get these minors and foreigners to register because you want to show up your numbers. So the basis, the roots of this problem is you, the political parties, as well.
Well, I think that is also lame, and that is quite disappointing, because that should not be coming from a commissioner who is educated and savvy on his work. Because the description by the Constitution, the Electoral Commission is a referee of two, if you call them two parties that have competing interests. And his duty is to take a position that is law. And so if you sit down and one political party put a minor on a voter's register, it means you are incompetent. It means that you don't know what you're about. And if the Electoral Commission knows what they're about, they should be able to get rid and prevent minors from coming to the register. And so if you allow that to happen, Ghanaians who qualify to vote should not and will not suffer that recklessness, that incompetence of the entity. We must stop as a country approaching issues with knee-jerk approach and knee-jerk reaction. This is an issue that is progressive in nature. This is an issue that borders on government supply of logistics. This has to do with state resources. And that if states had provided the resources, every Ghanaian would have procured a Ghana card. We have stated that you will go to offices of the National Identification Authority, and they are either not working, their machines are not functioning, or they cannot be able to give you a Ghana card. And so if all of these are glaring in our eyes, and you, the Electoral Commission, knowing this, is trying to advance such a lame argument, I believe, and I repeat, that is chaotic, and they are acting in a manner, and if the Electoral Commissioner does not check the conduct and pronouncement of Dr. Kweku, it is likely to land the Electoral Commission in a very difficult situation. Ghanaians do not have the patience to tolerate foolishness anymore.
Well, but I mean, you're saying that these concerns about the politicians or the political parties also being complicit in this has no basis, that there hasn't been times in the past where political parties have been also identified as the ones who try to get these minors on the register. That's not an undisputable fact, is it?
It's not disputable. It's just like the issue of knowing that there will be criminals and crime is part of our society, and so the police service is mandated to arrest criminals. The Electoral Commission is fortified to prevent, to ensure that minors do not go unregistered. And if the Electoral Commission intends to clean up the register of minors, disenfranchising Ghanaians is not a wise decision. It's not a prudent decision. It's not a decision that will bring peace. They know that. They know that what they are doing will bring chaos into this country. They know that what they are bringing will inflame this country and jeopardize the democracy of this country. And I'm saying that they should not. I mean, if the Electoral Commissioner does not check the pronouncement of Dr. Kweku, which he has been touting for the past few weeks, that despite the fact that Parliament of Ghana and parliamentarians have asked that they go and amend those parts of their CI, they will still insist that they will go ahead. They are not going to elect Dr. Kweku's children. They are not going to be the ones contesting for the election. Obviously, Ghanaians. And that if the president will not intervene to stop this misconduct and the fact that an electoral commissioner takes this path, which is dangerous for the democracy of this country, Ghanaians do not have that patience. And the NDC will not allow these to stand.
Mustafa, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Mustafa Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the Opposition NDC talking there. Shortly, we'll have the member of the MPP joining us on the telephone on this matter. But this is what the former chair of the Electoral Commission, the longest serving chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Jan, said earlier today about the introduction or integration of technology into election management. by the Electoral Commission, describing the Electoral Commission's approach of regional electoral collation centers as a lazy approach.
Right. So, I mean, in that narrative, you made the argument that the movement is suggesting and seeming to be one of laziness by the Electoral Commission. If you could just expatiate on that point again for me.
No, okay. I was saying that I was happy that Mr. McMenu was thinking about directly sending election results from the polling station to the central point, i.e. the Elections Commission. Okay. And it is good because in Nigeria, when I went to Nigeria, I was told that Ghana had borrowed something from Nigeria. And I said, what is it? And they said, well, it has to do with collation, establishing additional collation points. And instantly I said, if this is what we have borrowed, it is retrogressive borrowing. It's not something that takes us forward, it's something that takes us backwards. And I was explaining that even Nigeria itself, with the huge number of polling stations, in the last election, started trying to send election results directly to the Electoral Commission or to a central point where even ordinary voters could view what election results were coming from the... It's like what we tried to do in the olden days, set up what we called the results boards, huge boards, putting on the results that were coming from various places for the people to see. Not only the results about where they voted, but results that were coming from all over the country. It builds confidence in the process. So I think that borrowing that we did from Nigeria, setting up additional collation points. So my suggestion is that at minimum we should send the results directly from the 275 constituencies to the Electoral Commission. Because you see, after all, the returning officer at the constituency level is collecting how many, he's collecting from maybe 150 places and so on. So that's why I said, okay, maybe the Electoral Commission is being lazy by not collecting from at least 275 points, result sheets, but from only 16 result sheets. So, and that is what, and I mean that seriously. I'm suggesting that if the next OPB, the Electoral Commission is being lazy by not collecting from at least 275 points, result sheets, but from only 16 result sheets. So, and that is what, and I mean that seriously. I'm suggesting that if at the next opportunity, we should reverse it. And if we cannot send the result directly from the polling station to the Electoral Commission, at least from the 275 constituency levels to the Electoral Commission for collation.
Well, that's Dr. Sirbo Kweko there, speaking about this particular issue of the Ghana card, and then you also just heard the former chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kojo Afari-Gyan, explaining what he meant by the Electoral Commission being lazy if they're going to be employing or the use of the regional collation centers instead of employing processes to directly send results from the collation centers and there's polling stations directly to the Electoral Commission headquarters here, which we saw play out in Nigeria as well. So that's what he's been explaining. But the MPP has also been talking about this, and they say that the party and Parliament should stay clear of the Electoral Commission's mandate. We'll hear from the MPP shortly on this particular one and why they are saying so, and especially the reactions to the Electoral Commission's position on they favoring the use of the Ghana card as the sole document for the continuous registration exercise ahead of election 2024. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong is political scientist, democracy and development fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, Ghana. And this is what he had to say about this proposal by the EC as well.
It would be very unfortunate that way down the line, far into the election year, then some of these financial issues will come up again, and then you realize that an eligible voter doesn't have a Ghana card in order for them to be able to register. Which again is the reason why, for me, I don't want the EC to put itself in a box, and at least make provision for some backup, because again, in public administration there are always unanticipated situations, and so if down along the line you should run into some challenges, at least you would have made provisions to deal with that. But like I said, I really hope that everything that the NIA needs will be provided to them if we are going to insist that the Ghana card be the sole source document for registration to vote.
As Dr. John Osai-Kwapong is a political scientist, democracy and development fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, CDD. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and on W93.5 in Y and beyond. An Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, they've raised concerns over media reports of a request by the Office of the Special Prosecutor to have access to the Integrated Customs Management System, that's the ICOMS platform. The OSP has made a request to be allowed access to the ICOMS platform as part of ongoing investigations into corruption and corruption-related activities. But the importers and exporters say they find the request quite strange and want to find out why this is strange to them. And Samson Asaki Awingobit, Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, is joining us on the telephone. So Awingobit, thank you. The OSP is saying that, look, I'm on to an investigation. I need access to the ICOMS platform for some further and better particulars on the investigation I am conducting. Why is that strange?
Well, thank you very much. I think that it is strange in the sense that the Special Prosecutor Office was not established to do classification and valuation and collect duty or revenue on behalf of the state. The Special Prosecutor Office was just established by Parliament, just as the Ghana Revenue Authority was also established to be the body mandated to do classification and valuation and collect duty on imported items revenue on behalf of the state. And then we have a whole Ghana data city in that ICOM system. We have the international body, we have the embassies, we have the business community, we have organizations. And Ghana, we have a data protection law. If you come to the port community, we have institutions like the NACOB, the National Security and other things, who are hooked for a specific interest into the system. We cannot, even in customs itself, not even all customs officers have access to the ICOM from A to Z. You come to examination officer, he has a space. You come to preventive, they have a page in the system. You come to those who do classification violation, they have a page. It is, everybody has a specific area that they work, they perform their tasks and leave. They don't have access to the whole holistic data. And I strongly believe that if the Special Prosecutor Office has a specific issue, i.e., during the time that they wanted the issues with regard to Labianca issues, you only go to court, write, and court will grant you the permission, or you write to the Commissioner General. Then the Commissioner General will ask the Commissioner of Customs Division to give a specific information that you are looking for under your investigation. We cannot allow a whole system to be hooked to the Special Prosecutor. Special Prosecutor Office does not do examination, do classification, or violation and collect duty on behalf. We are very much aware that there is a gentleman in the Special Prosecutor Office called Mr. Awone. Remember, during Colonel Damwa and the Labiaka issues during that time, where this gentleman was trained by custom as violation officer. He was working until he was transferred to another division, which the Special Prosecutor requested at the time that he wanted to work with the gentleman. He should be attached from the custom office to his office. At that time, the commissioner at that time declined. Then this gentleman got angry and resigned and went to Special Prosecutor Office, and he was employed. If you think his co-workers, his colleagues, his own colleagues who are at the classification and values department, or who sit as uniform members at the custom division, are not doing the job satisfactorily, and he wants to come back, he should apply back to Commissioner General and they employ him back. But to sit at the office of Special Prosecutor Office and think that his colleagues are doing something fishy, and he thinks that they should bring the data for them to do analysis, I don't think that's the way.
But Mr. Wingobet,
it's not part of a security agency. But for that matter, you should know. You know, the Special Prosecutor is not a security agency. It's a body. It's an independent body, but it's not a security agency.
But for you to narrow down the request of the Special Prosecutor to have access to the ICOM's data as the objective of Mr. Awone wanting to be employed or come back to the custom, that's very questionable. And on what basis do you think that he's the one who is doing this? Or the Special Prosecutor has written to have access to ICOMs. What has that got to do with Mr. Awone?
It's a Special Prosecutor Office, a security agency. It is not an independent organization that can investigate. That can do what? Investigate on corruption and corruption practices. You cannot tell me the whole ICOM is on an investigation.
Okay, so Mr. Awone, Mr. Wingobet, I beg your pardon. Just for the purposes of education of our listeners and our viewers on Facebook, and maybe, are you aware of the details of the Office of Special Prosecutor Regulations 28 LI 2374? Do you know it?
You educate that.
Okay, good. Stay with me. So if you look at page 4 of the LI 2374, it talks about the initiation of action. The Office of Special Prosecutor may act on a complaint lodged by a person who has knowledge of the commission of corruption or corruption-related offenses. B, a complaint lodged by a victim of corruption. C, information obtained from an informant or a source of the office. D, an investigative journalist report or source. And then also they talk about the office may act further to data mining by an intelligence analyst of the office or any other government intelligence analyst. Initiate an investigation into corruption or corruption-related offenses when facts or circumstances reasonably indicate that investigations may be conducted to prevent or prosecute such criminal activity. On its own, the Office of Special Prosecutor can act on corruption allegation or corruption-related allegation, and B, reasonable suspicion of the commission of corruption or corruption-related offenses. So the Special Prosecutor can act on its own. That is just to also give you the education that you are questioning on the basis for which they are even taking this action. They have the power to do so per the law. Hold on a bit for me. There's Act 959, the Office of Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959. It is different from the LI 237. Act 959, page 18, point number 31, clause 1, says the Special Prosecutor shall apply to the court without notice to the person or entity under investigation to issue a warrant to an authorized officer to enter premises in the possession of or under the control of the specified person or entity to search and take possession of a document specified in the application if the person or entity required to produce the document to the office fails or refuses to produce the document. It is the basis on these laws and the powers of these acts that the Special Prosecutor is making this recommendation. Mr. Wingobet.
No. So, as you read, is there anybody who has gone to the Special Prosecutor to report any corruption and corruption practices on ICOM? Is there did the Special Prosecutor went to court of competent jurisdiction to ask for court to give him the order to go to ICON to look for a specific issue, or has he written to GRA asking for a specific information that he's investigated on and they do not give him? He cannot have access to the whole data of this country. That should be. If you have a specific interest, he should specify. He should come out clear. This is a public issue. And I'm saying we have a data protection. The same power that he has, that same power gives Ghana data protection. And the whole country data is on ICON. We cannot talk with using the office of the special prosecutor to say that he has access to everything. I think the law gives him, he should go to court to ask for a specific. What are the specifics? We need to know. What is he investigating? You remember before Kenneth Damar was released from office, he said they should bring him certain information, even auctioning of vehicles and items at the port from 2015 or 2017 to what year? You remember he requested later, he abandoned it. So what is it now? What is the office of special prosecutor need? What is classification evaluation report does it need? He should write specific. It should be specific. You cannot say they should hook them to the system. That cannot be.
Well,
that cannot be.
And I think that these are, don't you think, much more weightier questions to ask than to say, pin it down to one person in there and say it's because he wants to be re-employed as custom.
Let me withdraw that specific person and apologize to your network and to him. But the point is, he was once a uniform officer, which all of us are very much aware that he was expert on classification evaluation.
Okay, so now at least you know the provisions. Know the provisions of the law, and so you can then, based on the provisions as I just read to you, ask these cogent questions you just asked. And I think that they have some legitimacy. We will definitely pursue it as well. But Mr. Wengobe, thank you. But we'll make available a copy of the Special Prosecutor Act to you and the members, so you can.
I'll be grateful, but we strongly believe that if the Special Prosecutor needs, if there's anybody who petition him in his office, if he's investigating a specific issue, he has the right to GRA for a specific issue. He cannot say at all costs, because he has the authority at all costs. He must be hooked. His office must hook to the ICOM system. I don't think his office is mandated to do examination and collect revenue on behalf of the state. That's not his work.
Right.
That's not the work of the Special Prosecutor.
Zangobe, thank you. So beyond this, what do you intend to do? I mean, are you going to
beyond
petition?
This, I think we need to discuss this issue thoroughly. You have to bring the lawyers. You have to bring a bit GRA in on tonight, your program name, and we will discuss this issue because this is a national interest, and the Special Prosecutor to be able to tell why that harassment. It become a harassment. I don't know what he's looking for. Look, I've already this is look. What is going to happen if we don't speak now? Tomorrow, every officer at the port at the border level would be quiet and say, look, I can't wait because Special Prosecutor is hooked to our system. Why should you put that fear into everybody? We cannot. If there is a case, if you think that is speaking intelligence on certain things, he should come that this company, I'm investigating this company, this individual, if it's Asake, you are investigating Asake, say I am investigating Asake. Give you particular of Asake. But to say, we have to put you to hook to the system, no, I don't think legally he has that right to say he must hook to the system, unless he says he has an interest of a specific case. That we cannot allow the
point well made.
ICOM system.
But you're saying that Special Prosecutor is putting fear in you by asking that he wants to be hooked to the ICOM system. What are you afraid of?
I'm not saying me. I'm saying men and women in uniform in the port. Because I want to say Special Prosecutor is on the. So what is there? They must tell us what is there that he wants to know, and that is why he's requested in his letter. There's not like specific, or he has gone to court to ask court compel GRA to, because he's looking for a certain information, and maybe custom officials or GRA staff or management, top management are refusing to give it to him. That is why he then said, okay, then let me have access to the direct system so that I sit in my office and I view every declaration, every BOE that goes through, every classification that goes through. No, we cannot do it. That's not the mandate of it. So unless there's a fraction of corrupt, unless there's a suspect, and with that self, I'm sure even if he writes them, they may decide that they won't give him, he should go to court. And that's why once in a while, he goes to court. Remember the same Special Prosecutor who was getting a John document in the social media, went to court and court threw him out.
All right. Mr. Wengobe, thank you. Since you have resolved that this matter is something you challenge, and having read the details of the OSP Act 2017-959 and the LI 2374 to you as well, I know that now that you know the basis and the details of the said law, you're going to ask some more questions. But I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Samson Asankia Wigobet is the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Let's stay a bit further with the Office of Special Prosecutor, because an Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Nicholas Abodakbi, has following that an application by the lawyers of Charles Bissiu made an order for interim injunction restraining the Office of Special Prosecutor or its agents from executing an alleged arrest warrant. The court has also stopped the Special Prosecutor from applying for any further arrest warrants pending the determination of the substantive matter, and also publishing notices purporting the applicant to be wanted pending the determination of the substantive matter. The order lasts for 10 days while the case has been adjourned to the 22nd of June 2023. The Office of Special Prosecutor, OSP, if you recall, on June 13, declared Charles Bissiu, the former secretary to the Interministerial Mining Legal Committee, wanted, and this is something that got a number of reactions. We eventually spoke to Charles Bissiu, who said he's in the jurisdiction, he is not hiding, he's in the Western region, and he's ready to appear before the Office of Special Prosecutor. So this development, which we're hearing now, brings a very interesting twist to this whole tale. Mr. Bissiu recently filed a writ at the High Court in Accra in an attempt to prevent the OSP from prosecuting him. This legal action was in response to the ongoing investigation led by the Special Prosecutor into alleged corruption involving Professor Komnafin Pomboating, the chairman of the Interministerial Mining, that's Committee on Illegal Mining. Now, there's a development to this particular story as well. This the ruling by the High Court earlier today, that injunction, we understand that lawyers of Charles Bissiu have secured, restraining the OSP or its agent from executing an alleged warrant against Charles Bissiu. Now, the OSP has also responded. We've just got a statement from the OSP asserting that it possesses the authority to arrest suspects of interest without a warrant. That's the OSP also saying they don't need a warrant to arrest any suspect of interest. The OSP clarified its position earlier today, shortly after a human rights court granted an interlocutory injunction restraining the Special Prosecutor or its assigns from arresting Charles Bissiu. It quotes, "The general public is advised that in the exercise of its police powers, the Office of a Special Prosecutor can arrest without a warrant any person it reasonably suspects of having committed corruption or corruption-related offenses," unquote. This is the development as well, and what's happening. And following an application by Charles Bissiu's lawyers, the Human Rights Court, presided over by Justice Nicholas Abodakbi earlier today, issued an interim injunction restraining the OSP or its agents from executing an alleged warrant against Charles Bissiu. So that's the development to it now, and we'll see how the coming days will play out on this particular issue, because it's getting very, very interesting now. The OSP saying that beyond the court's interlocutory injunction, it still has the power to arrest any suspect of interest without a warrant. Stay with me here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Asantino Otumfuo Seitu the second says he has begun mediation towards resolving the protracted chieftaincy dispute in Boko. Upon receiving the Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs Minister Stephen Asamoah Boateng at the Menchia Palace earlier today, Asantino remarked pockets of chieftaincy conflicts in parts of the country have come about as a result of attempts by some political parties to change the status quo.
Kani Judicial Committee the bin Mojisikan Yabuasam Nona Yamai. By Tudono Bantan and the Dibuama, the old Difocratia, the old Dibim woman in us, the Satriam. Edmund and Massa, in some name Toquanto Basan Contumpono Ban and Manabasa. Boko, Eguso, Afrenia, Busa, no more the Afina maybe sharing in a so, yet the Abutran no credit, how be a Mobia can. So, be a Bacanasam near to you. na de ntia achia mana basane yakoni ehumu nokre me na yiri waba me na di nkomo boko na ba waba me na di nkomo Rusi ade she wo boko komo so aba me di nkomo ma krachifo ma akumi enu be wo ma frɛ ne di nkomo say your paper bia so di aba ta me kinkan ni ebi afi ye frɛ obi abehia ye be di nkomo ne ye de nokre na wo ye busam a ye be hunu sɛ asɛm no sɛ de nokre siti no duro ni nyina ya tra dem ahwɛ yonko anim sɛ enti ntɔkwa ne nyina hu ne ye tra dem sɛ ye ka ne nyina abetwa.
Well, that's what 24 say to the second there. Now, the protracted chieftaincy conflict in Boko has claimed several lives and property. Various attempts to resolve the conflict have not yielded positive outcomes over the period. Will Otumfuo's intervention make any significant difference? Let's speak to security analyst Emmanuel Kuting on this. Mr. Kuting, thank you, as always, for joining us on Hot Edition. And this is something that you've done quite some work on, in the situation in Boko and matters arising. What major difference would Otumfuo's intervention make in trying to get the lasting peace in the area?
Alfred, thank you for having me, and very good evening to our cherished listeners. In fact, that is the core. If you observe my commentary on Boku, I've always made that call that given how politically laced the Boku conflict has been, we needed an independent adjudicator. And I was calling on government to use the route of Otumfuo, since he has done the same thing before when we talk about the Dagbon crisis. You know, the Boku conflict is as old as our independence, and successive governments have come and played into their own advantage. So I think it's a piece of good news. And for Otumfuo to publicly announce that he's stepping in, it means that the legwork has been done. And the feuding faction has agreed in principle to give him a listening ear and for him to mediate into the crisis. My only fear is how we can manage conflict profiteers, like that they don't take advantage and be on either side to give entrenched positions. As a matter of fact, when the Nigerians skinned a new Boku Naba from the Mapuche side, I even made this statement that you can go to the table to negotiate when you are negotiating from nothing, because at the point we were calling for negotiation, the Mapuches didn't have an skinned Boku Naba. So to the extent that security and intelligence were picked up that Boku, the Nairu was skinning a parallel Boku Naba, you realize governments too are aloof, only to issue a warrant for the arrest of the Nairu through the court. Eventually that order was quashed. So I think it's a piece of good news, and I know Otumfuo is better placed. He's well respected among his peers, and he's somebody who places the truth where it belongs. If you look at the road he played in Dagbon, and I've always said that, look, if you take the route of how we went about the Dagbon peace building initiative, Baku is not different from Dagbon. So government, I'm praying, should give Otumfuo all the support that he needs and take a step back and allow the traditional authority to look at how they can find a solution to this conflict that have plagued Boku. If you go to Boku today, Alfred, the once very vibrant economic pride of the North is a shadow of itself now.
Very unfortunate indeed. Mr. Manokoting, thank you so much for your time here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Some 30 minutes top of the hour. And Mr. Brampa is here with business. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Alfred. Lots of issues coming up, talking about bank fraud cases and the fact that staff involvement in fraud cases in the banks have reduced from 246 to 188, and mobile money fraud has also seen a 1% decrease in there. But overall, we're looking at 27.7% increase in bank fraud cases, and the main driver being forgery and manipulation of documents. So that will be giving you more details in our subsequent bulletins on that one. But some good news also for the LPG markets. Liquefied petroleum gas prices are expected to drop significantly at various outlets from tomorrow, which is Friday, June 16. Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, attributes the about 8% expected drop in the price of the commodity to the local currency's recent gains. The Institute of Energy Security, IES, has also projected that ex-pump prices of the commodity will drop by 10% to reflect international price reduction recorded over the past 2 weeks.
We are looking around 7%, between 5 and 7%. If we are lucky, inflation can down to 10%, but looking at something between 5 to 7%. Gold for oil has nothing to do with it. I mean, LPG is not one being needed for gold for oil. So it's important to attribute this down LPG to gold for oil. It's a non-starter. What has really, as I did indicate, has really contributed to this is the fact that at the close, the window on the 11th, of finished product had gone down by 11%. So has also been very stable.
And that was the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, there. And on the bad side, I don't know if I should say that for consumers, though, we are expecting our prices of petrol and diesel to increase. That is projections made by the Institute of Energy Security, between 1% and 5% at the pumps tomorrow. So you should look out for that, just in case you see some increases. And this has been attributed also to the local currencies performance. But away from that, a tax policy analyst, Alex Ampabing, has cast doubt about the sustainability of the increase in domestic VAT collections in the first quarter of 2023. According to the Bank of Ghana's latest summary of economic and financial data, domestic VAT collections increased by 92.4% on a year-on-year basis to about 1.25 billion cedis from over 640 million cedis. However, Mr. Ampabing thinks factors that contributed to the increase cannot be sustained.
Through the debt exchange program in December. So people deciding not to invest again and rather engaging in consumption more, which has resulted in an increase in retail. And remember, the retail sales automatically has a domestic VAT component to every sale that is made. So as the retail sales increased by 44.9%, we expect a corresponding increase in the value-added tax, which is charged on top of transactions. Is not going to be sustained. Going forward, with these new taxes that the government has thrown out, what it's going to do is going to limit how much disposable income is left for the consumer. So as the new taxes kicked in, most of them are started in May, we will expect a decline in the retail sector activities in the second and the third quarters.
A tax policy analyst, Alex Ampabing, there, ending it for the business segment. On Hot Edition, we have sports next.
Hello and welcome to the sports segment here on the Hot Edition. My name is Bill Leshen. And earlier today, the Black Meteors faced Egypt in a friendly ahead of the 2023 AFCON qualifiers, and it ended 1 or Efriye Banye scored the first goal of the game inside 10 minutes from the spot, and Egypt managed to equalize in the 39th minute, but the Meteors had to finish the game with 10 men after Zubairu Ibrahim was sent off in the first half. But moving on to the Black Stars winger, that is Joseph Penso, has stated that he was pleased with his performance for KRC Genk this ended campaign. The former Tema Youth star recorded double digits in goals and assists during the season and is currently training with the Black Stars ahead of their 2023 AFCON qualifiers game against Madagascar.
Yeah, I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve in so many years, because since I joined any club in Europe, my first season in Budapest in Hungary, Ferencváros, was also 2 decades. Also in Turkey was also 2 decades. So me having these amazing numbers in 2 decades numbers with assist and goals was something really amazing. So I would say it was a blessed season for me, and yeah, it's really amazing, and yeah, it's something that I really hoped, and it has really come to pass. And me having this kind of goals is something that has made me who I am, and also made me so proud of myself, of the player I've become for this season.
Right, that was Joseph Pinto, a winger for the Black Stars. Now moving on to Europe, newly signed Real Madrid midfielder Jude Bellingham has revealed that he is focused on helping Los Blancos on the pitch and is not concerned about his price tag. The 19-year-old was signed on a 6-year contract. In his deal plus add-ons, if achieved, would reach £115 million.
Yeah, well, it depends what newspaper you read to find the real price. It's not something I'm concerned about. I'm never really interested in knowing what exactly it is. For me, it doesn't matter how much I've come here for. The objective's the same. It's to win trophies, and it's to help Real Madrid continue to be the biggest team in the world. I'm a footballer, not a lawyer or an accountant, and my job is to take care of business out on the pitch.
Yeah, that was Jude Bellingham, a new signing for Real Madrid, who just took the number 5 shirt, which was previously worn by Zinedine Zidane. Now, remember, later this evening, Spain will be taking on Italy in the UEFA Nations League semi-final. The first semi-final was between Croatia and Netherlands, and it ended 4-2 in favor of Croatia. That is it for sports here on the Hot Edition. My name is Bill Lishen. Up next is entertainment with Akofa. Hello, Akofa. How are you doing?
Hi, Bill. Thank you very much. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. What's up for entertainment?
Right, we're starting you off with the story where award-winning reggae dancehall artist Stoneboy and his Livingston Foundation have commissioned 4 boreholes in 4 communities in the Shamar district. Stoneboy, accompanied by his wife Dr. Louisa and his team, made the presentation in the presence of the chiefs and people of the area. And here's a report by the 3 Entertainment Desk.
For years, award-winning reggae dancehall artist Stoneboy has used his craft to highlight the ills of our society through his artistry. Stoneboy has constantly proven that not only does he sing about the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian, but as a humanitarian, he has extended his benevolent hand to several communities through the Livingston Foundation.
Okay, so it all started with a video we saw online of the kind of water that people in this community have been drinking since River Pra got contaminated by illegal mining. Initially when we came, we thought it was just one borehole that would work, but we realized that so many communities along the river have been affected. So we ended up making 4 boreholes.
Stoneboy and the Livingston Foundation commissioned 4 mechanized boreholes in 4 communities, namely New Dabuasi Junction, Bipo Sonkrai, and Antimbua in the Shamar district. These are communities whose livelihood depends on the River Pra, but due to the mining activities, the water is heavily polluted. The sight of proper drinking water came as a good news for the people of these communities. Christian Ampa is the assemblyman for Obini Mochina.
Yes, we have the water pra. The water pra is just here, and looking at the state of River Pra is very, very bad. It's due to the illegal activities of the Galamsey. So, in fact, our main source of water is the River Pra, and it's not as good as you can drink. It's always dirty. You can't just drink it. So we are very happy for what we are seeing today.
Speaking to the media, Stoneboy called on government and duty bearers to take up such responsibilities to address the water crisis in these communities.
So the reality is that it has to touch one's heart to be able to stand for. I stand for these things, that's why I advocate. But in other terms, it must be business for other people, so that when they don't get money off it, they can't use their powerful voice to support it. For me, it's priceless. For me, I put my voice against my music, I follow it up, and I make sure that the world knows, the world understands what we're facing, where we are, owing to what is being done. Exactly. So that's all I can say. I don't have to look at others who are not doing it. I have to look at myself and ask, have I done it? And of course, I'm trying.
Away from that, astute playwright, author and poet, the late Professor Amata Edu will be giving a state-assisted burial. President Akufo-Addo gave the assurance when the family of the late literary giant called on him to officially inform him of her passing.
The group, led by the family head of the Ojaze Asona family, Ebusiapeni Kwamena Esando Edu, daughter of the late Professor Amata Edu, Kina Likimani, were at the Jubilee House to officially inform the president of the death and arrangements made for her burial.
The arrangement is on the 13th of July. She will be laid in state in Accra here. On the 14th, she will be sent to her hometown, Abiaze Chakor. The 15th, the final funeral rite and the burial will be done.
The president, who warmly received them, described the late Amata Edu as an outstanding writer who impacted many with her works, personality, and what she stood for.
I knew this lady quite well. We were contemporaries at the university. We met as young people when we were both at Legon, and we maintained a reasonably good relationship. I was one of her admirers, outstanding writer, advocate, the women's cause, the cause of Africans, the progressive people around the world. I think she brought a lot to our country by her works, by her personality, and by the causes that she stood for.
While consoling the family, President Akufo-Addo assured them that the late playwright will be given a state-assisted send-off.
I'm happy that the arrangements you have made for her funeral, the Thursday the 13th, I will be able to join in the lying state, and even before you came here, it was my decision that she should be given a state-assisted funeral. She deserves it. Myself and the people of Ghana to pay our due respect and express our appreciation and gratitude for her life.
And before I go, right now there's a Twitter Spaces happening on TV3 Ghana's Twitter, co-hosted by Bellamundi. That's by the 3 Entertainment team, where we're talking about international award schemes and its relevance to our industry. So join in there and share your thoughts with us as well. And that will be all the entertainment news here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa Alfred.
Cover.
Yeah.
And back at 8 o'clock.
I am back at 8 with Wind Down.
Yes. Thank you so much. Make a date at 8 o'clock with a cover for Wind Down. On behalf of the rest of the team, I appreciate your time on Hot Edition. The drive continues with Giovanni, AJ, and DJ Faculty. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a great evening.